Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and I am back from Florida. Last week, I was in Florida for about 8 days. I was visiting my family. We go down pretty much every year, pretty much not every year, but pretty much every year, to Florida to hang out with my family for Christmas. Basically, my brother brings his kids. I bring my kids down. My parents are there. We all stay at my parents' house. And it's a big family celebration, I guess. I feel usually pretty trapped there because it's like a gated community and it's like kind of very isolated feeling. But it allows me to go for walks with my dad and just sort of hang out. We always do one big thing though. This year we went to NASA. We went to Kennedy Space Center and we saw all the rockets and stuff. That was our big event, which was interesting because when we went, we realized that it's a bit of a drive to to Kennedy Space Center from where we were in Sarasota. It's like a 2 to 3 hour drive. So we wanted to. My wife actually got the information wrong about it. She thought it closed earlier than it did. So we tried to get there really early in the morning. So we got up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. We woke up and for some reason, we couldn't sleep. So we got like 2, 3 hours sleep that night. And then we drove 2, 3 hours to get there. And so we're all like really sleepy and kind of very disorientated. And then we sort of hung out at Kennedy Space Center for a few hours. And we're like, oh, we're really tired. We still had to drive back, so it was a bit rough. Probably would have enjoyed it more if I had a bit more sleep beforehand. Um, but that was interesting. Comic book related. I want to bring this back to comics though, but that was the one big thing we did. I did a couple cool things comic book related. One, I got to meet Mark Mueller, who's a fan of the channel. I hope he's a fan of the channel, and really nice guy. He took me to a local comic book shop in Sarasota, and I got a few things. So I'm going to show the B-roll for that experience at the end of this video, and I actually took a little bit of video. They were basically mostly modern. Like the way the store was laid out was, I would say, it was a fairly big store. It was actually good space. 90% of the store was gaming, like Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, and all that kind of stuff. Like 90% of the store was that. They had this sort of wall. Along one wall was comics, though. They had like modern, and then they had sort of back, like a very small corner, which was back issues. And there was one comic that caught my eye right off the bat. And I was flipping through the books, but one was right on the wall, and I was like, I really like that one. I'm going to show you that last, but I'm going to show you a few things that I'm going to show you what I picked up at this comic book store. So it's obviously going to be more modern, but there was a couple cool books that I picked up. Okay, so we got some Lower Decks, so some modern comics like I picked up. We got some cool Creepshow, and these were actually very affordable. These were all cover price, so I thought that was great. We have Abyss, Tales from the Abyss, Epitaph from the Abyss, I should say. And this one's an homage to Jack Davis's, I think it's like Tales of the Crypt or Crypt of Terror. So that's a cool one. And then I got Crisis, which is a cool Infinity cover. So that was fun. And got a few more. One sec here. I got this one, which is Flaming Carrot Comics. What happened was actually when Mark checked out, they said, "Oh, you picked up some back issue bin book, and there's buy one get one free." So I said, "Oh, I have a free." He didn't have the extra book, and we didn't want to go back and search for some random one. So I was like, oh, I have a back issue as well. So I got this one for free because he got it for free. So that was cool. So I got that one for free. And then I picked up some more modern ones, like Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman. This was actually a pretty expensive book, but there it was just cover price. So it was pretty cool. Cover price. Everything was cover price, basically. Absolute Superman. And then I thought this was just a cool Catwoman cover where she's in the tub. Looks all battered. Looks like a tub full of, almost looks like popcorn, but I'm going to guess it's ice. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's very odd. I think she looks a little battered. And she needs to do an ice bath or something. So yeah. And then the one that I was really staring at, that was too high for me to reach. It was really annoying. Was this one. This was Flash 133. I just thought this was a really cool Flash book. Has a really creepy version of the Flash. Now this one, as I said, it was too high up for me to reach. Mark was slightly taller than me, I think a couple inches taller than me. So he was able to just touch it with his finger and kind of popped it until it fell down. So yeah, so that's how we got it. So he helped me get this one. So it's a nice Silver Age Flash. That was fun. Now, so that was a fun experience. And I'll show you the B-roll at the end of this video where you can see what that shop looked like. It was a good shop, very good shop. It's called I believe it's something dark. One sec here. Testing my eyesight. Dark Side Comics. So thank you, Dark Side Comics. And the cool thing was at the very end, so everything was cover price, except for the Flash book. But then they give you like a 20-sided die, a D20, old Dungeons and Dragons term. They give you a D20 and then you roll the dice, okay? And if you roll 20, you get 20% off your price. If you roll a 10, which is what I did, you get 10% off. So whatever you roll, that's your percentage off. So I got 10% off on the comics. So that was, I paid actually less than cover price for the books. So that was kind of nice. The next thing that happened, well, not next thing. One of the things that happened during Christmas itself was I got a few Christmas presents. Actually, I got one more comic book, was this one, that I also got picked up from that shop. But I put in one of my Christmas presents at the back of it. So I got this book from my parents. This was something from my parents, this one, which was really a book from my childhood that I had, that they just put into my present. You know, they gave me a present from myself, I guess. I'm not sure how to describe it, but this was an old comic that was just happened to be in my collection that was back at my parents' house, and they found it. They put it in into my one of my presents. So yeah, so this was that. They did give me some presents as well. Every year, they give me this book, Guinness Book of World Records. So this is the one from 2025. So I get this every year. I really like the Guinness Book of World Records, so they always give me this. So I have a really good collection of Guinness Book of World Records going right back into the 80s. So yeah, so that's the book that they gave me for Christmas. And then they gave me some family related stuff from as well in one of my Christmas gifts. One is a bunch of old photos of me that were never cut. You can tell like they didn't really do much with these. So this was like, I did Scouts as a kid, and this was me being a Cub Scout. And this is what I looked like as a kid. So they never, obviously I was not cute enough to bother cutting and then putting in wallets or anything. They just sort of left it in this format. So yeah, that's me as a Boy Scout. Like, I don't know. I think I haven't aged too much. I don't know. I hope not. Okay. So yeah. The other thing is they gave me this book. This is Alice's Adventures in Oxford, and basically, this was something that they had gotten when they visited Oxford, and it's just like a history of Alice in Wonderland. So it's an Oxford University professor that created Alice in Wonderland, and this is the book that gives it. This was just a family keepsake, but it had like some kind of cool stuff in it. So it had these postcards in it from my parents. Like they went on different journeys. This is for Expo 67, which was the World's Fair kind of that happened in 1967 in Montreal. And it has like the original letter, little stamp as well from the 60s. And they gave me another, like 2 of them. So I thought that was kind of cool. And they gave me some different little brochures that they picked up when they were traveling. So I'll show you those. This is like for the Princess, the Princess Diana's wedding. This is the official program from that, from the wedding dresses, I should say. Yes, the wedding dresses. This is not from the wedding, but it's from like showing the wedding dresses. And the last thing that was in there, I don't know why, but this is a very old program from Knott's Berry Farm. When Knott's Berry Farm was not a theme park, but it was just a berry farm. So this is from when they were out in California. So, and it's like fairly old. You can see this is from, does it even say how old it is? Yeah, I don't know, but I would say like the 50s. I don't know when this is from. Let's see. I don't know when this is from. The last date it shows is 1946, so I'm going to guess like late 40s or early 50s. So you get this little thing from Knott's Berry Farm. So that was sort of all together in my, like they put the Guinness Book of World Record and then this other thing all together. So I don't know. I figured I'd show you some of my Christmas gifts. I didn't really get that much for Christmas. We don't really do, we used to do lots of gifts for Christmas. Nowadays, we kind of tone it down because it's always hard lugging all that stuff back like on the airplane. Now, what happened was on the way back, speaking of that travel, there was something kind of annoying that happened. So we were on the way to the airport. We had to return our car and we were supposed to fly out around 8. However, as we were heading back, I got a notification on my phone saying that the plane had been delayed. So it was delayed till 12 o'clock at night originally. So we were like, oh, okay, well, now we're stuck. Stuck in Tampa was where we were flying out. I remembered Stephen told me that one of his friends and one of the guys that we both buy from, David Alexander, had his store or warehouse, I should say, in Tampa. So I figured, hey, I'll randomly call up David Alexander and meet him. Okay, so and see his warehouse. So that's what I did. David Alexander, if you're not familiar with him, he's DTA Collectibles. Definitely check out dtacollectibles.com. That's his website. He also has a store on eBay. It has almost 100,000 comics in the store. So just to give you a sense of how many comics this guy has. And it's only a small fraction of his collection. So his collection is pulps, it's sports memorabilia, it's a lot of racing stuff, but it's a lot of Golden Age comics. And he does have some modernish stuff, but mostly Golden Age, I would say. Um, so he was nice enough to allow me to come out of the blue to his warehouse. And his warehouse was really interesting. It was like, the funny thing is, so actually, I'm getting ahead of myself too much. But what happened was, it was like on this one road, uh, and I put it into my GPS, right? And I put lane instead of road. So we went to some random weird place, middle of nowhere. Like it was just like, where are we? And I'm like, this is not the way he described it, and it didn't look like the place that he said. So we're like, oh, I typed in lane instead of road. So we then had to drive another 20, 30 minutes. Fortunately, they were reasonably close to each other, to get to his place. So we got to his place like an hour, almost like an hour late. It was like, took us forever to get there. Um, and then he was very nice about waiting for me for one, and then letting me do this tour. Now, what he did was he built almost like a little, well, not a little house, but a big house for his comics. He literally built a building just for comics. It was a 2-story building, and just a huge building. I will show some B-roll or some video of that place. It is amazing. So stay tuned for that at the end of this video. I'm going to show that as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. It is insane. worth seeing. So when I got to that place, I was just amazed. It's 2 stories. It is just packed from floor to ceiling on both floors with comics. They're in boxes, but the way he does it is really interesting. So he had one whole section, which was maybe, I'd say like a third of the whole building, was just stuff that he hasn't organized yet, just random stuff. Then the other parts were organized-ish, I would have to say. Like, when we organize our comics for our little collections, what we'll do is we'll get a box, right? And then we'll put all the Marvel or all the DC or all the Fantastic Four or some kind of organization that way. What he does is he has a whole bunch of boxes, and whenever he gets new comics that have been organized or like tracked, he'll just literally put them in the box. And so you'll literally, like, I was flipping through the boxes, and I saw some like pre-code horror book, then I saw some modern random book, then I saw some romance book, then I saw it was like just totally random, like magazine, all in the same box. And but the way he does it is it works for his system, because he'll have the box labeled with some code, and so when somebody buys from him, he will just look up that box, and then they're coded inside the box based on when they were added to the system. So it totally makes sense for him, but looking through it, it was very weird. Just like, why these random books all together? But I saw some pretty cool stuff. It was pretty insane. Like, he had some pretty major books all just randomly mixed together. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So stay tuned for that video. And he was a really nice guy. I spent like 2 hours there. My wife was freaking out by the end of it. She was actually pretty patient to wait 2 hours. My kids were waiting for 2 hours too. I thought they would take a look around, but they weren't interested in the comics at all. So they just sat in the car. They played with he had some cats and some dogs. They played with the cats and the dogs for a little while. But they were really just bored waiting for me. But they were really nice about it. Actually, my family was pretty good about it. So I was looking through this massive collection. It was just a really awesome collection. And it was, the only thing was, because there was books that I was interested in, but they weren't priced. So he said, well, the only way to buy it really is to buy it online. So I actually didn't pick up anything. I felt so guilty. I was like, oh, I really want to get that. I really want to get that. But I couldn't really buy anything from him. So, he really was just acting as a tour guide for this massive collection. I would say there was probably about like a few 100,000, if not 1,000,000 comics within this collection. Probably closer to that 1,000,000 mark in terms of just the number of books. So you would have to spend literally days worth of time to go through it and figure out what stuff was. But I was just like, it was just very disorganized looking. And you would literally see original art just laying on the top of some box of comics. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is like original Archie art, or original some crazy awesome art. And then there would be like random pretty major Golden Age books just sort of clumped together on some pile. I think there was method to his madness, but there was definitely like it was just awesome to see. Like, it was just very overwhelming. I sort of pride myself on knowing all the keys for comics, or trying to know all the keys. And I was like seeing, oh my goodness, this is a big book, this is a big book, this is a big book. And it was just like everywhere you looked, it was like, and they were just randomly placed. It was really interesting. So definitely worth watching that B-roll at the end of this video. So that was my Christmas experience. I got I did that. Then we went to the airport thinking that we were going to fly out around 12 at night. It got delayed further. We arrived home in Canada at 5 in the morning. It was like a really long day. It was very painful, but I managed to survive. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of my Florida trip, a little bit of that comic book experience. I hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned for the 2 B-roll videos. They're going to play next to each other. One is obviously a comic shop, and one is this massive collection from David Alexander. So definitely watch both of those. Very fun videos. So all in one, get them all together. Okay, so again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye for now. I'll just do sort of like B-roll and say, visiting the most awesome collection ever. It's like, let's show the original art. Original art. A whole bunch of digest books. Price guides. Modern romances and hunting adventures. Should have done this before. So crazy. It's like, most interesting parts. Why is it when I find... before I was like finding all this great Golden Age Spidey adventures, and I think I just sort of wandered into the more modernish stuff. Oh God. This is going to be the quickest B-roll ever. Hello. Do you want to be in the film?